Hello, we're going to speak about our systems practice journey. Our research was about the situation of the migrants that go from Syria to Turkey. We are the team members. I'm Daniela Restrepo. I'm 23 years old. I'm Colombian and Mexican. I love reading, chocolate, and running.
I am Victor Rubio, I am 22 years old, and I love music and sports.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Sanchez. I'm 23 years old and I'm a future internationalist and Mexican.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Lascuaga. I am 22. I am an internationalist. I love reading and eating.
I'm Carla de la Cruz. I'm 25 years old and I love dogs.
Some of the challenges we faced, it was that brainstorming was a little bit overwhelming. Why? Because, or as you saw, our team was made by 5 persons, so it was a little bit difficult to make all the ideas of all the participants to make sense. Then, when we started the research, there was a lot of information, so it was a little bit difficult to see what was important and what was not. But after we arranged that information, the solution was to filter what was relevant to our topic and what was not. After we did that, we started to make a great project. Well, our project is about Turkey, that's why we are dressed in red. And the vulnerability context we first searched about, it was, first of all, Turkey, it's in a very important strategic place. And the problem is that there are a lot of migrants. A little bit less than 70% of the migrants are from Syria. So they arrive to the country and they need work, but the problem is there is not formal work. From the other side, there are a lot of earthquakes that attempt to the Turkish lives. In the poverty profile, according to the Human Development Index, it's 0.79%. It's high, but it's not the best. It's placed in 64 out of 189 countries. There's been a lot of increase, as you can see in the chart. In 1990, it was 0.5. So it's been more than, in these 20 years, it has increased by more of 0.25. There are more than 1.6% of the population that live in poverty. Of these, a little bit more than 0.2 live in extreme poverty. So even though you might think it's a small number, it's a big quantity of persons. More than 51% of the working population is in a formal job. This means that the other 49% or does not have a job or it's not a formal job. Besides, 1.8 of the population lives under $3.20 per day.
Okay, so why do we choose this topic? First of all, to have a global understanding of our actions, because we are all part of a system as occasional or frequent consumers of fast fashion. So also to understand the connections between the actors and to learn to analyze a topic from a systems perspective. And now the migrant situations in Turkey is a very complex topic that involves social, business, political, and economic sectors. So it's of global and regional importance. And Turkey, it's an important actor of the international system. That's why it's important for us. Now, our new star was paying prime attention to underage workers, also complement their work with technical education, and apply sanctions to any company that employs any minor of 16 years old. Then our guiding star was guarantee fair labor conditions for migrants involved in the fast fashion industry in Turkey, legalize the migrant status through temporal contracts so we can guarantee fair labor conditions, fair wages, social security, and to foresee that these temporary contracts will lead to a future precedent for migrants to obtain a future residency in Turkey, and also to pursue corporate social responsibility for the fast fashion industry companies in Istanbul. This is our beginning of brainstorming, And that's how it all started.
Okay, so now it's time to speak about the deep structure. For this, we ask ourselves what question could involve everything about this problematic. And the question is, what forces account for the current use of Syrian migrants in Istanbul clothing manufacturing sector? It could be a little bit a large question, but with a narrative, we answered all of this problematic. First of all, the Syrian civil war doesn't seem to end soon. So basically, all these migrant people tries to look for a new place to live with better conditions to live with their families, and they try to reach to Turkey. And basically, the enterprises trying to get bigger profits, they don't care about subcontracting migrants with respecting their rights and privileges. So this creates a codependence with the state and the companies to create bigger profits without depending on the people. As well as the Turkish textile industry doesn't care about the fast fashion industry and the manufacturing labors of the people, and they even don't receive their rights. And if we could involve everything, we could argue that the economic system is a problem, but actually it's not that simple. Basically, the Turkish government doesn't apply policies that involve all the Turkish and the migrants from Syria to the economical system. So this creates a codependence in the institutions, and they don't create inclusion of the Syrian migrants. As well, it's a part of ourselves that we want to buy new clothes with this voracious consumerism and the marketing, that we want to buy several clothes in every season without taking in account labors and the factors that are making these clothes. And basically, the Turkish government doesn't think about the Syrians because the nationalists and the political discourses that they don't care about other people outside Turkey. And all of this narrative creates a graphic that we start from here with the civil war in Syria, and continues to the enterprises, and this is the codependence with the government and the enterprises, as well as the voracious consumerism, and here are the Turkish policies, and finally, if they don't take into account everything, the poverty cycle continues.
Now we will proceed with the leverage analysis, which takes into account 5 points. Where is the system frozen? Where is the pent-up energy for change? What are the places that seem like a mixed bag effects? What are the places which are bright spots? And finally, where are we seeing ripple effects? First of all, we identified 2 places where the system is frozen. The first one is the socially responsible companies, and the second one is the irregular workforce. Then, where the pent-up energy for change is. Pent-up energy means like the weak part of the chain, the one that can be changed or that can experiment a significant transition, so we can tackle that area and the system will change itself. For the yellow part, for our yellow circle, is the civil war in Syria, not as an end of the civil conflict itself, but the part inside where the people are finally returning to Syria because the violence has substantially decreased. So if people are returning to Syria, the job opportunities might increase long term because of the reconstruction. But this is a long process. Second, in the gray area, we can identify laws for equal working opportunities for Syrians because there are several initiatives and voices talking in favor of this, of favoring and making positive actions for the migrants. Next one, regarding government, there is also a push for integration policies and for letting migrants know their rights. These have been initiatives from the social civil organizations and public in general. Regarding enterprises, nowadays social responsibilities in companies is taking a major place, and all companies are asked to take that into consideration in their work. So there is an area of opportunity where we can push enterprises to be socially responsible. Then, regarding consumerism, there should be a creation of social consciousness between consumers that their actions affect other people in other sides of the world. There's not just there is a strong correlation between what we do, even if we think it's minimal, and what is actually affected. In regards of poverty, it's a bit similar as in the situation in Turkey with good working conditions and especially with the language barrier. Because nowadays in Istanbul, the government has a special program to teach Syrians Turkish language. And this is for two reasons. Well, yeah, for integrating them and also for making them subjects of popular and political vote so that maybe Erdogan's political party can stay in power. Then, mixed bag effects means the one have both a positive and a negative outcome. For example, we were searching and we were concluding that regarding the legal status of migrants, that raising migrant status to citizenship would actually put a lot of pressure in Istanbul system, in the public system, education, health, transport, and blah, 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 because they would be the same as Turkish citizens. Then the foreign direct investments in companies, if we restrict that, it would also restrict the competitivity of the country and would alter the economic development. And the other one is a bit broader. It's about the economic system, about neoliberalism, that it does create equality, but at the same time, it's a boost for Turkish economy and for all the actors participating in the system. The bright spots and the ones that give us hope are that there is international awareness about this problem and this push that the European Union is constantly exerting over Turkey to become,
more responsible for their citizens and their workers.
Yeah, in regards of human rights and liberty and better conditions, as my classmate said. It would also be convenient for the companies for the incentives they would receive if they are socially responsible and for the general image they get from their consumers.
Well, and the last point of the leverage analysis is a ripple effect. We identify 4 ripple effects. The first one is that the poverty continues to expand. It's a circle that it's going to continue because migrants are arriving and consumers are demanding clothes. There are a lot of offers, so there's a lot of demand, and there's a lot of demand, and there's a lot of offer. So it's a circle that it's not going to end unless there's an intervention. In the second point, it's the mindset that my classmate Rebecca was talking about. Consumers, they keep demanding clothes. They see a t-shirt for 2,000 pesos and they say, of course I'm gonna buy it. If I don't use it, I don't care because it was really cheap. So we have to let them know about the consequences of this industry. The third ripple effect is the damage it's making to the environment. The textile industry is the second most polluting industry of the whole world. First is the one of energy, and the second one is the fast fashion industry. And the fourth effect is the relationship that it's between the governments and the companies. They have to work together in order to improve the working conditions of the migrants and most of all of the workers.
So after analyzing the whole system, we conclude that the main part of our strategy will be give incentives to the enterprises so they can show good working conditions to the migrants. This will be achieved by having governments pressuring the enterprises and having auditors that check the enterprises and will give incentives to the ones that show better conditions for the migrants. We're gonna explain it better.
Where do you want to engage the system? It's like to engage the system relation to campaigns and the government with the groups in the labor sector and achieving international reforms, and this moving the increase in for giving investment. What impact to see to make other labor dynamic, create good working condition, make defining jobs, help in ending poverty, good quality of life of the worker.
So why might engaging in this dynamic lead to broader change in our system? First, companies will be committed to having high standards of working conditions because of the benefits that we will talk about later. Then workers will receive the help from companies to have legal assistance in terms of having legalized migrant conditions. Then the audit will guarantee security and dignified works to all the workers, and the companies will have to make sure that the wages will provide a good quality of life for the migrants. So how will we achieve this impact? As we said before, by having an audit that will check constantly the labor conditions in the enterprises. And those who have the highest standards for the migrants will have economic incentives. We will make alliances with governments and companies to show the benefits and the necessity of making this change for the migrants.
We will proceed with the outtakes, the reflections, and the conclusions of this project. For me, it was really interesting because Eurasia is one of the areas I'm most passionate about in international relations, and understanding this complexity in this big city, Istanbul, which is part Europe, part Asia, that's full of culture, full of people, full of historic processes, was really interesting. And it also made me understand that my actions have broader effects that I'm not aware of. And actually, this dress that I'm wearing right now was bought in Istanbul for a fair price, under good conditions, because it was bought in a local store, not Zara or one of those.
Well, for me it was an eye-opener. I have no idea about this problem, about the consequences that this industry made. For me it was like, oh, there's a t-shirt at 200, 300 pesos. Of course I'm gonna buy it even though I don't need it. So for now on I'm gonna be more aware. Before I buy things, I'm gonna buy only the things when I need it, and not just like buying just for buying. And for me it's like also a commitment to let the people know about this problematic and about the conditions the workers live, and the effects it's having on the environment.
Thanks to this program, we comprehend more deep about the textile industry in Turkey, and with these different methods, we comprehend with a different analysis and approach about the problematic of all the system of the economic textile industry.
For me, this project was a great opportunity to give us a more real perspective of what is happening with migrants in Turkey and how big brands use their labor to obtain high profits.
The main takeaway for me was realizing our importance as consumers of the fast fashion industry, because our daily choices can affect or benefit people from other parts of the world. And especially working with systems practice was very challenging for me because I didn't knew the method, but it was very enriching. And here are some pictures of our brainstorming and our organizations. Here is how the loop started, and well, it was a hard process but very satisfying for all the team members. Thank you.